talking about really what's going on for us, our community, our clients and our friends, and then applying that to how we humanize the world of work. Today, I've got with me Joshua French and Anthony Fitton, and we're just going to have a really open chat about what's going on right now. So I've got a few things that I've picked up from this week, so I'm more than happy to kind of share those with you. But do you want to say hello?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll say a little hello. Lovely to have you all here. This is very exciting, and it's really nice, Alex and Ant, to connect with you in this way as well on a Friday morning.
Yeah, it's awesome. We always have such great conversations in the office, so it's great to be able to put our stuff on the line on the web, as it were.
It is, isn't it? And so many times, I'm sure lots of other people have said as well, you know, I wish we'd recorded that conversation because it was really good. So even though it might be a little new for us to just kick off a conversation and an open chat, I think it's going to be really much more human in terms of sharing what's going on for us and our insights. We talk to so many people every single week across all markets and industries and across the world. It seems crazy not to be sharing that more regularly. So I'll kick off then with a bit of insights that I picked up from yesterday. I was listening to a couple of finance directors from some very large global organizations. And one of them was sharing that they were ready to go virtual when everything happened in the pandemic last year in March. And they managed to get everyone set up from home very quickly. It was all fine. And then suddenly they had a malware attack, and they had a virus that affected all of their computers. And instantly there was panic because it was almost like it was the only channel that was available for them. And so it threw challenge on top of challenge for them to be able to get this fixed quickly and still be able to operate as a very large business with huge overheads that had already been through quite a big struggle to get everyone online. And so they very quickly decided to put all their focus and attention on fixing that and get everyone into a situation where they could communicate with them elsewhere. So they picked up on all their personal information, different channels they had to be able to connect people together. But what the finance director said was really important was that collaboration is often one of the values of organizations. Everyone should collaborate well together. And it became more important and more critical at that point in time than ever before. And I think that just really struck me, was that, yes, collaboration is one of many values, and lots of companies have lots of values that they care about, which is brilliant. But at times of challenge and times of crisis, some of those come to the forefront, don't they? And they become really super important. And for them at that point in time, not only collaboration as a value, but their partnerships became really important. All the people that they connect with, all their suppliers, all their clients, all of those relationships just became absolutely critical. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, isn't it? That for such a large organization, that to recognize that collaboration and partnerships were instantly the most important thing. And I'll just leave for you guys for a minute to think about that and respond. I just want to say hello to our viewers who are coming online. This is our first Bailey and French Friday live online discussion, really just opening up the discussions that we're having about client insights, things that are going on in the world around us, and how we're humanizing the world of work. So Ant, Josh, what do you think about then in terms of collaboration becoming really important in a crisis?
Yeah, it's just goes to show that anything that we can do in organizations to consistently every day be building those relationships between people is really time well worth spent. It's so good to invest time in that. And there's so many different ways we can do it, rather than waiting for those moments for crisis and then thinking, right, now we need to quickly make sure that we're resilient and we build the relationships. We're doing whatever we can. So through our performance conversations, through our development conversations, through our regular meetings, using all of those touch points to find ways to share, be open, be vulnerable, be positive as well. So we share those positive emotions together. That's kind of key to helping these organizations, all of us, be more resilient, I'd say.
Yeah, it's good to target it and to be proactive about it, isn't it? I've got certainly relevant situation on that at the moment. It's really important. I'll share in a second. Ant, what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because you really find out what values are on the wall and which values are in the heart.
Yeah.
And
Like
those moments, those little touch points, we spend a lot of time. I found a lot of customers, you know, especially in hospitality or where customers are at the center of everything, they talk a lot about customer touch points. And I know a lot of organizations are talking about the employee experience, but it's kind of they're coming to us a little bit too late. It's like you needed to be doing this stuff 6 months ago, a year ago. Actually, the clients that we have been doing that with, the strengths philosophy, everything around vulnerability and kindness, they're now finding, well, this is the time that all of that hard work and that it's new behaviors for leaders. You know, being vulnerable is not easy. Being courageous and being honest and open is a skill that needs work, but it's so worth it in these times of absolute stress. And that example is exactly right. And it will only get more like that.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone through a pandemic that is unusual. You've then gone through an attack, a malware cybersecurity attack. That's not unusual now. And there will be something else around the corner, and again and again and again and again and again. And we don't know what those will be. We don't know whether we've got the right skills to cope with those. We're going to have to build a culture of continuous learning. So it's even more important now that we actually get ready for the year 6 months from now. So yeah, it's a good example.
And I think certainly the businesses that I've been talking to as well, I'm sure some of yours too, people have still been recruiting right the way through this. So there's lots of new people still joining teams. And when we've got, sorry, my telephone's gone off, which is really...
Keep it human.
Keeping it human. I'm working from home, of course. But no, sorry, I'm getting confused now. Yeah, sorry, with new people coming in. So with new people coming in to organizations and not even, you know, not meeting the team before they start working with them, it's almost like we can go through the basics of building a relationship and get focused in on work quite quickly. And yet how over time, it's those challenge points that kind of often bond you, don't they? I mean, it's those points when you have to go through something difficult together that makes you think, wow, God, I really value you as a person because you really helped me through that. You kept me calm, or you found me the right information quickly, or whatever it was. And those partnerships are just critical. And it really struck me what this guy was saying about the fact that it wasn't just collaboration internally in the organization, but their partnerships really mattered, because when they shared with their partners that they were having a really serious business challenge, their partners stepped up and helped them in ways that they didn't have to. So they shortcutted processes, they did various different aspects of a process that they weren't normally responsible for. They took those on board, they got in touch with people they didn't need to, and they went above and beyond in the partnership. And I thought, well, that's just, you know, that's incredible. I've heard that a lot this week, that partnerships and collaboration are just so critical. But yeah, how do we do that when we've got brand new relationships that are, you know, still forming, and then they're thrown into a challenge and you don't really know the people you're working with very well. You're kind of trusting that they know you and trust you and that you're going to help them because there's, you know, that's who you are. And it's almost like that inner compass of it's the right thing to do, rather than knowing that you're working on a trusted relationship. It's almost like, what's that baseless point? And how do you fix that? How do organizations deal with that this year? You know, we've got still people are not going to be coming back into the office for some time yet. How do we help people really be able to work and collaborate in a crisis based on really good relationships? I know, Josh, you said about those positive emotions. What else is there that we should be doing?
Well, it comes back to like when we initially set up with Bailey and French, just the things we were focusing on were the importance of understanding each other's strengths, understanding our own strengths. Like if we're going to rapidly find ways to know people, they're being onboarded, they're coming into the team, how do we make sure that there's not this long process of, right, let's find over a period of time how we can deepen those relationships, but actually quite soon, quite quickly, what is it about you that I really value that that you have as part of you at your best, your authentic best, and how can I help you understand that, and how can you help me understand what's best in me, so that we open up those kind of strengths-based conversations. So out of kind of all the ways that we've been exploring over the years to help people build those trusted relationships, giving people that better understanding of each other's strengths is one of the most powerful, I would say, but you know, there's many other ways we can do it.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? And I get a lot of challenge from clients who kind of like, it's almost like they've tick the box on the strengths approach. We've applied strengths questions into our performance reviews. We put them into our development plan. It's like, tick, we're done on that. And actually almost missed the critical point that, exactly as you say, being able to actually apply strengths specifically approach into conversations that helps relationships is fundamental and critical right now, regardless of your performance plan and your growth and development chart. And it's like we're missing the core aspect of what's really, really very powerful, actually, in terms of having those relationships.
Yeah. You never tick off self-awareness. You never tick off emotional intelligence. It's like, and that's just such an important thing about this kind of humanizing workplaces, is realizing that it's never done. And so all we can do is stay together in that place of uncertainty and exploration, and see that as a positive thing, that we're never going to fully know what to do. We're never going to fully know each other, but together we can be on this journey, this adventure. Easier said than done, but with the principles of positive psychology, of course, that we really use, with the strengths, with the high quality connections, it does help.
It's that kind of in progress mindset. I've always battled with this yourself. You know, how do you show vulnerability, actually? Because in progress is showing vulnerability, right? That constant exploration of, I'm not quite sure about this, but let's together explore it together, and that creates the psychological safety for an environment that will then thrive. And when you come up against these tough challenges, you're not going, oh, that was wrong, that was like, you shouldn't have done that, and there's no blame. There's, oh, do you reckon there's a different way that we could have done that? How did I do that? How did I influence that? What was that like for you? And that just, I've seen that in a room. You know, you can almost take the pressure out of the room just by reframing. You know, this isn't we're all in this together. This is entirely new right now.
Yeah, and it's funny that reflection point. I think that's becoming more and more critical, and it almost seems like the lost art of reflection. We're always focused on what's next, going forward quickly. What's the next challenge? What's Boris going to say next? And we don't stop enough to reflect on actually what's our experience, what's our learning, how could we do things differently. And it used to be quite an important part of all learning structures, and it seems to be just how do we embed with micro actions. Well, that's one thing, but actual true reflection with someone else, with a mentor, with a coach, with a group of people is so powerful. And I think it's often I think there's some points now, aren't there? So now we're a year on from the pandemic starting, you know, being able to reflect back on how well have we done? What have we done well? And just before I carry on, I'll just say welcome and hello to anyone else who's joining us on our first Friday Live with Bailey and French open live discussion across all our social media channels. We're really keen to have any questions or comments come through. So please do type them in the chat. They will come through to us. And do get involved. We're really happy to be trying this today and hoping to do it every single Friday morning. But yeah, back to the point on reflection. There's just, there's a lot of businesses at the moment who are coming to their end of financial year, like us at the end of March, literally looking at what has happened this year, month on month, big changes. How have we responded? How have we done really well in terms of actually supporting our people to get through with all the different challenges that have been coming at us, almost daily. But also listening to the CEO of Yodel last week was fascinating, hearing how he'd been brought in as a CEO to switch the organization to more of a profit-based organization. And yet, the same as everyone else, when the pandemic hit, it wasn't about profit, it was about survival. And now everyone's at that point of looking through those businesses that have survived and saying, right, let's get back to profit now. My goodness me, we've survived, we're here, we've got to make something of this. And then yesterday I heard another comment from another finance director of a very large organization saying, we need to be ready for the change that's coming, because the market is going to change. We've got to be adaptive and ready for what's next. And if we don't get ready, we're going to be left behind because our competitors will be right there. And as a CEO of a business, I was thinking, my goodness, this is crazy. What's next? Please don't throw anything as big as this at me next.
Yeah.
Our businesses deal with it.
The profit thing worries me to a degree, actually, because I'm hearing a lot of CEOs talk about this, and my worry is not that we shouldn't be focusing on performance. We absolutely should. That is the fuel that you put into the business to keep it going and keep everyone employed, and also achieve that purpose if the company's got one. But the worry is that we fall back on old behaviors, pre-COVID behavior, and pre-COVID behaviors, that's probably wrong. Different companies were at different stages anyway. But becoming more human, creating that more human experience is the profit move. And I don't think a lot of people quite understand that yet. And I worry that we end up going back to, okay, we need a new service delivery model. We need new performance management that is all about time and all about as much productivity as physically possible. I nearly said humanly possible. And that's wrong. We now know that the way that we work in the world of work now, where it's complex problem solving constantly, we need to have a culture of complete adaptability. You can't go back to normal. You can't go back to that fully productive state. You have to allow for the human element.
And along with that, like, just so important, because there's so much great stuff that's happening in terms of well-being support for people, but like, what can we do going forward to make sure that well-being is totally entwined with
100%.
the performance aspects of the role, which, as you say, is businesses without performance are not going to. It's so important. However, for the human elements, that regularly we're checking in with each other about our well-being, that it's not something that's an add-on on the side, but it's just really at the heart of all the kind of conversations that we're having. Otherwise, because we know burnout is chronic, and it's more chronic than ever. There's so many layers of cognitive overload that people are experiencing in terms of things that are happening personally, in the world, at work. So really important that we get those foundations of well-being really well understood by everyone, and then everyone takes accountability as well for looking after each other's well-being. That's going to be vital going forward.
That's it. Yeah. So it's not that we're on our own. And so there's been a big push, hasn't there, about accountability for your own personal well-being. And there's tons of self-directed well-being stuff out there. But actually, there's a lot that we can do in collaboration with others that's going to be more sustainable for performance within teams and organizations, more ongoing. So one of our viewers here has said, people speak about change management, but don't look at the management of ongoing and spiked change and agility. And sometimes, there are people in teams that love, a big crisis and a challenge and to get stuck in and problem solve, but then they're going to need a little bit of recovery time afterwards. And actually the management and leadership of a team where you've got your kind of like your hero person coming straight in to be able to deal with the situation, but there's going to be someone backing that up, and you're going to have this support of the team all around them, so that when that person is kind of like almost like when they've hit the point of, right, we've fixed it, now I need a rest, There's others that are there to increase that stability through whatever's next and keep things agile and changing. And it's interesting what you say about burnout, Joshua, because there is a huge, overwhelming sense of burnout right now, right the way across the UK and the globe. I'm sure there is so much fatigue, deep fatigue in people. And you know, I mean, I've been experiencing fatigue. You know, it feels like I only ever get to 10% on my battery, and then it's almost like, boom, I'm back again at 0. And I'm not the only one. I'm talking to tons of people like that. And I think in humanizing work now, we need to be really helping businesses think about, how do we help people recover over the long term? This is not about taking a day off. This is not even about a week off. This is about being able to help people relax and stop panicking, stop constantly searching the media channels for what's next, and being able to almost have some downtime to think about their network of relationships. Are they tending and nurturing to all of those still, or have they, you know, through the crisis been leaning more towards a certain group? What's the recovery going to look like on a human level? And I think that's going to be just absolutely critical for businesses right now. It's not just about helping people feel comfortable to come back into the office. It's not just about helping people have a day off over Easter. It's about helping them re-knit back together relationships that have been strained for such a long period of time. You know, reintroducing grandparents to grandchildren who maybe don't recognize their grandparents, you know, and those things are fundamental, and they're happening, and it's so wearing, it's tiring. And I think we've got some humanizing to do. So I just want to, for everyone who's joined us, thank you so much for your questions and comments coming through. This is our first Friday Live morning session. We're going to be running these every Friday at 8:30 till 9 a.m. and really just chatting about what's going on in this crazy world around us, this wonderful world also, and how can we really practically think about applying principles to humanize the world of work, and really just sharing our thoughts and insights. So keep the comments coming and the questions coming through. We're going to be closing up in about 5 minutes. So if they've got any questions here, let us know. Sally, yes, we're going to be recording. All of this is going to be recorded across our YouTube channel and will sit as a video available on our social media platforms. We're restreaming across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube today. So everything's going to be accessible, and we're also going to be putting it into a podcast audible version. So I'm really lovely to see so many comments come through. I'm just going to have a quick read through those. Joshua, what do you think about recovering?
I'm just coming back to the comment you made about the crazy world, but then also the wonderful world. I mean, it's just such a subtle shift of attention that we can all make regularly, between kind of what's problematic, what's going wrong, what's the next thing I have to worry about, and just actually, if I take a moment and consciously choose what's something I can feel grateful for, what's something I can value in someone else, and maybe give them a little bit of praise in that moment. So it's small things, but done regularly over time. These are what can start to knit us back together, we would say, and it's just being aware that when we're constantly on the go and it's very transactional, we've got all these things to do and all these deadlines to meet, that those moments of choice about where we put our attention can get lost. And over time, that can really lead to burnout. So thinking again about kind of the touch points that we have within the day, a Bailey in French, a very simple one, what we're often using, and we know other clients use this as well, is like kind of work social media platforms, and you send each other GIFs and
I love it.
And just like it's such a simple thing, but they can just give you that lift and give you that boost. So small things like that, really much more powerful than we might give them credit for.
I do think there is a huge gap, and it is about, again, coming back to what we were saying earlier, of just exploring these things. There is no right or wrong way for your business to be doing this. It is going to be different for everyone in different cultures. A lot of companies that we're speaking to at the moment are really struggling with the global message of well-being. You know, some countries seeing it as part of performance. Again, coming back to the accountability, you have an accountability to show up to work and be your best, and we'll give you the tools, but it's your responsibility right the way through to, actually, we don't know what a wellbeing strategy looks like. We've never looked at it, and rightly or wrongly, that's how it is, and we're really starting from scratch here. Those little hints, tips, tricks, I think we just need to be sharing more and learning together. We haven't solved the problem. You know, we are learning constantly.
And that's a really, really good point, actually, because even just in this conversation, things are so different when you say them out loud, aren't they, in dialogue, than when you think about them in your head. Yeah. I was thinking about this beforehand, before we came live on today, and I was thinking of all the things we were going to talk about. And what are the bullet points? And, you know, what's the general chit chat? Because it's unusual to have kind of, you know, an open live chat without a script and you know, prescribed topics to be talking about. But actually, even in this dialogue, listening to you and building on those pieces, it's just so powerful for me. It sparked off loads of ideas, and I, you know, this conversation I could chat for ages. So I'm really pleased we decided to have a go and kick this series off, and I'm really looking forward to doing this more regularly. So we've hit the 9 o'clock button. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have meetings to get to, like we do. So we'll finish and close this up now. Our first open live Friday live discussion session with Bailey and French, Friday mornings, 8:30 till 9 a.m. GMT. It's open internationally, so hopefully at some point we'll have some international viewers as well. But please do join us next week. We'll be chatting, same thing again, open conversation, what's going on in the world around us right now, and how can we really think about humanizing this world of work. So thank you everyone for joining us. Loving the comments. This video will be available on our YouTube channel, and we'll have it posted on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So have a great Friday. I hope everybody gets an opportunity to recover somewhat from the week, and looking forward to an Easter weekend and some restrictions in the UK lifting on Monday as well, which is certainly welcome. So everyone stay well, stay healthy. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Ant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.